All right. Warning, this episode may contain profanity, obscenities, and very strong language, and is not intended for all audiences. If you're a clicker, backpedaler, or trash content creator, you may be triggered. And welcome everyone to the episode 3 of the F Show. My name is Fark, and once again joined with the one and only Funky, my guy. How are you doing today?
Good morning. I'm fantastic.
Oh,
bullshit.
That's nice to hear. Are you even maybe Fark-tastic?
Yes, exactly.
Amazing, dude. Good stuff. Let's get straight in the nitty-gritty, dude. How's been your week? You're a week in the world of Warcraft. Well, 2 weeks since the last podcast, technically.
Go ahead. Yeah, since the last podcast. Got to 70 on Windseeker, 60 on Faralina on TBC. Learning the TBC stuff as we were discussing prior to launching the podcast today. We were kind of talking about TBC stuff, so...
Yeah. It's a bunch of TBC, right? And a bunch of leveling. Not a lot of raining, I would imagine, in the slightest, right?
No, I'm not worried about that. My total plan is to gear up for Wrath and worry about Wrath when it hits. I'm not going to hit Sunwell. I'm not going to worry about any of that stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting because I haven't been doing any leveling in a while. I've kind of put all of that behind me. Thank God, as I couldn't be bored by leveling anymore at this point. But I have done a significant amount of raiding last week. I've raided in Mists of Pandaria a little bit. And there we go. We got some people in the chat from the guild as well. I raided Mists of Pandaria. That was fun. And a little bit on Warming. I had a small little comeback. Just a little bit on Warming. And on Synergy as well. And my god, those raids are by far the worst. But we can discuss, how different servers script different things as well. But yeah, what we have prepared for this week, guys, we're going to be looking at some of the guides. Some of the guides that are being made for you people. Some of the guides are being uploaded, heavily promoted, and showcased by the community as well. So we're gonna be covering all of that, showing you that, and there's gonna be plenty of discussions that we're gonna be having on that topic. So just stay tuned in the podcast. There's gonna be a lot of interesting things for sure on this one. And Funky, before we start, do you want to add anything on that note, just as a small intro?
Oh, these guides! I'm telling you, there's so many of them that are just wrong, and unfortunately, like we covered some of the channels last week in the podcast, or 2 weeks ago rather, and some of the guides that are out there are even worse right now, and hopefully we'll get into that. I know, we are going to get into it, but going to be talking about Wowhead guides too. I know that kind of got brought up last night. I forgot to mention it to you, but some of the Wowhead guides out there, I don't know how accurate they are. I don't know if you know how accurate they are, but it seems like they at least try to point people in the right direction regardless, but it might be interesting considering, a couple of us theory crafters have or going to be having guides out with calculators, etc., etc. So we'll see what happens with that, all that jazz.
Well, let's get straight into it. Let's talk about the TBC guides, shall we? You already mentioned Wowhead guides. Wow to retail Wowhead guides, I don't know. Back in the day, traditionally, if you look at Wowhead, they have been a competitor to Thoughtbot. And they kinda grew into this bigger thing where they do everything WoW related, or at least they try to. The issue with Wowhead is they hire a bunch of people and they don't really do any proper background research. Let me put it this way. If I'm a CEO and I'm basically recruiting people for my company, I have a couple of job openings. It's like having an interview. Someone shows up. I can be a driver. I can be a driver for sure. you hire them and you didn't even check if they have a driver's license. That's kind of the way I feel about Wowhead TBC guides. The guy who talked about protection paladins during the pre-patch for TBC, during the beta for TBC, and even launch of tier 4, beginning of TBC, right? The garbage that the guy posted stinks so hard it smells even today. So I can't really speak about other classes. Really, I haven't been paying attention to Wowhead. Neither do I care what anyone has to say about, for example, a mage or a warlock. I find them really simplistic, to be honest. You know, you play arcane, you have your mana management, and you have your own stat priorities. If you're a warlock, well, you know, just do the warlock things. Actually, Crix did that really decent. You know, small shout out to him there. He actually did pull head out of his arse, and he did want a solid more warlocks. So that's what I think there for TBC at the very least. But yeah, for protection paladins, the guy who made it, I think his name is Ascalon or something like that. The guy is a keyboard turner and a clicker. I mean, the said nouns are being used in the trigger warning for the beginning of the podcast, right? Like, there's so many people like that are just clickers and make guides. And here is a food for thought. A person who is a clicker can never push the class to its limit. We can also maybe have a sidetrack discussion. You can join me on this one, pitch it at any time. How can you expect someone who is a clicker and a keyboard turner to tell you anything that's valid? They can have all of the math in the world. If they can't execute that on a boss fight, or heck, even in a dungeon, any math that they have is by default invalid because it cannot be put into practice. It's simple as that. What does it mean? Oh my god, there is parry haste, it's gonna kill me. What does parry haste even mean, dude? If you're like, if you're not even crush cap because you're a Papega that's getting hit from behind, right? What's that gonna do to you? Like there's stuff like that. I don't know if you want to. Maybe we can have a sidetrack discussion like that. But yeah, my opinion is people who are mechanically garbage should not be making guides.
I personally haven't looked into the TBC guy. I haven't really delved into it. When it reaches Wrath, I guess we'll delve into it and pick it apart more.
Oh yeah.
Personally, between the guys that I play with, for the most part. But yeah, I'm curious to see where these guides are going to come from and who's testing this stuff, how they're testing it, what calculations they're using into coming up with some of this stuff. And I'll run it against what we have in the calculator that Teamy's working on for, Druid and stuff. And it's going to be interesting to watch to see what the difference is going to be and how they're reaching these conclusions, especially, like for example, again, with Resto Druid, as we're finding out now and looking into it more, you're better off going a little bit under haste cap to actually gain more spell power. Now, I wonder if everyone's just going to go, oh, I've got to hit haste cap, because that's been the prevailing theory on progressive private servers. Has been, you have to hit haste cap as a Resto Druid. Well, actually, you don't. It's actually more beneficial to pick up the 160, 150 spell power that you're missing and be a little bit under haste capped. So yeah, again, it's going to be interesting to see what the guides are going to look like come Wrath.
Also, food for thought. I think a lot of people focus way too much on this list. I had the same discussion yesterday on Discord. As a player, you need to know your stat weights and stat priorities, right? Like, naturally, let's say you're a DPSer, right? Your hit cap obviously is very important. Your expertise cap is very important. After that, what are you doing? How much haste do you care about haste? Is it a good stat for you? How much crit do you need? Should you be going agility? Should you be stacking strength? Why shouldn't you be stacking armor penetration early? When should you switch to armor penetration early? It's kind of like in boxing when Tyson Fury said, everyone has a plan until you get punched in the face. And the same thing applies to raiding, in my opinion. Everyone has a BIS list until they start raiding. And so many people have been tunnel visioning these BIS lists super early into a tier. In my opinion, that's like grade A mistake. Like, calm down, look at the item that dropped, what's in front of you.
Well, not only that, but you look at these like you're talking about these BIS lists, where they really come into play is at the end game to me, because there's no other gear you're aiming for that gear because there is no better gear that you're going to be receiving. If you're a part-time raider or something like that going through progression, yeah, you might not get that. Let's say Valinar, for example. When you get to Udalar, not every healer is going to have a shot at getting that mace. Hell, you might not get it in the TOC patch. You may not get it in ICC. It may take you until after ICC is on farm for your guys to go back and go and do it. I mean, so what are your options then? Once you don't have that mace, the legendary mace, everyone's going to be going for. Same thing with Shadowmourne. For the DPS players, the melee players out there, what are you going to do if you don't get Shadowmourne? I mean, you can't follow this BIS list because things are going to change when you take Shadowmourne in or out of your inventory or on your character. So, yeah, BIS list, to me, there's something you should aim for probably, but not something that you're probably going to acquire, especially in the earlier tiers as the progression moves. Once you reach Ice Crown and the game is basically on farm at that time, and you're at the end of the expansion, and all there is to do is to raid the same crap over and over and over and over again, sure, then worry about the BIS list. But before that, nah.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't agree more. And BIS lists they have a place, they have a purpose, but I feel like it's like the rule of law. It's in my opinion, it's just way too tunnel vision, right? Way too tunnel vision, especially in Wrath. Like it's. For example, let's talk about vanilla. For a second. For any of you vanilla gamers, there was, if you remember, there was something called DFT. DFT that dropped from Blackwing Lair. And every warrior and their mama wanted it. And of course, you would stack warriors. You would want to give it to a warrior. But every now and then, there would be a hunter that would be like, but I wanted that trinket. And you would have to, you have to explain to the guy, yes, while it might be technically decent for you, you don't need that item. But every hunter would be like, no, I want that item, I have DKP, I want this trinket, I want it to be given to me, right? And then all the warriors would have to fight and stuff like that. So like, this guy could maybe come up with his own BIS list and say, hey, that's BIS for me, I want it. And stuff like that. And then you have to, come in between the person and the loot and say like, hey, okay, it's not gonna happen, buddy. Like, you're like 27th DPSer in the raid. The only reason I bring you is to pull mobs. I have like 15 other carries in the raid that I have higher priority than you. And the same thing applies in WoW as well, in my opinion. Like, you just gotta know what are you doing with this beast list, as well as a raid leader or a GM or an officer or whatever. Like, kind of gonna know who are your carries, what's best for what. When there's a tiebreaker, right? You gotta know who are you giving it to at the end of the day. Also, not just based on, but that's maybe sidetracking here. Not just based on the math alone, but performance as well, which needs to be tracked. But it's maybe a topic for another day. Let's switch to another slide. The first slide we have prepared. Let's get into nitty gritty. What we have been talking about. Bada bing, bada boom. This one. The first slide of the day. We don't have many today. Chat and everyone who's watching, thank you. If you're here, we appreciate you. The first slide. Funky. I know you are... You're very much focused on Wrath entirely, but this is something that... You know what this is, right? This is a beautiful screen capture that I have that was made for a Fire Mage guide on the start of TBC. And it is a failure, it is a massive blunder, but the reason why I want to showcase it here, myself personally especially, is to kind of foreshadow what's coming. Because the theory crafting that people have in the Wrath community is, in my humble opinion, vastly more improved and clear-cut than it was in the TBC community. Now, people who played on private servers in TBC, they absolutely knew what they were doing, right? They were good raiders. What I'm saying is there's a little bit more complexity in the end game and the way it works in Wrath. There's like a lot of nitty gritty details when it comes to like certain interactions and spells and GCD. It's not so much macro as it is micro, right? In Wrath, that's my point that I'm trying to drive home. And it's really going to be specifically interesting when people that are making mage guides put haste potions there. Now, mind you guys, haste potion in TBC applies only to melee haste. In Wrath of the Lich King, that stat gets unified. I believe there was a patch where they removed plus healing and it became spell power. Everything became spell powered. I think that was the same patch when they unified all of stats, right, Funky?
Yeah, it was that one.
Yeah. They unified hit, so there is no more spell hit and melee hit. They unified haste. Now, when we're talking about haste, we're talking about stats that you get on gear. And they unified crit as well. There is no melee crit, there is no spell crit, right? Melee haste still exists, but if you get pure haste as a value on you, right? 40 haste, for example. 40 haste it's just haste in Wrath. There is no melee haste or spell haste, it's just 40 haste. Once again, it exists like Wind Fury Totem is melee haste, for example, right? And there's a counter version of that which gives 5% spell haste from shamans as well. Those specifically work only for melee and only for casters. But like stats like this, they get changed for anyone who's wondering what we're talking about, and also for anyone who is a Wrath head. Any Wrath heads, once again, haste is only a melee stat. It's not a caster stat. And here is what I wanted to show. This is from a video uploaded on the Methods channel. If you pay attention, if you don't know who Method is, just to give them a small spotlight, they're like a really popular guild, just casually 250 subscribers on YouTube. I know you cringe a little bit, Funky, but they used to be the biggest and the best guild forever. And this was uploaded on their channel on YouTube, right? Like Fire Mage Guide. So on one of the biggest primetime guilds has this stupendous macro telling mages at the start of TBC to use a haste potion. Now, someone might be saying, Fark, you're just picking out details. It was beginning of TBC. It was just a macro. Guys, these people are making money. They're supposed to be professionals, right? Here's my issue with it. People are getting paid for this, right? That video got 100k clicks. It's making ad revenue. So we need to hold people accountable for what they're saying, right? If you approach this from an esport point of view, or heck, just from a sport point of view, you wouldn't really, throw the ball into your own goal, would you? This is not really professional, is it? Same way a content creator makes a guide, says, use this factually, this proven fact, and they still make money off it. This is where the patheticness lies in my case, right? No one owns up to the fact that they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. No one actually raises their hand. Yeah, my bad, sorry, no. It's always, put it under the rug, it's fine, just upload it. Yeah, clip it and ship it. Fuck it, play Fire Mage in tier 4, tier 5, who cares? Not that Arcane is better, right? So there's stuff like that. You have a bunch of nobodies who are coming out as content creators, and when I say nobodies, I mean that. Like, it's actually calling them a nobody is a compliment. It has the premise that they can become somebody, right? We have people who are barely able to execute the utmost simplistic rotations on target dummies in terms of simplicities of boss fights, right? And these people somehow are content creators because they have an entertainment value to their stream. That's not how it traditionally works, nor how it should work in a professional environment, but somehow it works in our community. Yeah, I've been ranting for far too long. I'll let you ride this wave a little bit. Maybe you want to chip in as well and share some knowledge as well, Funky.
Well, I mean, mostly you're talking about stuff that either I don't know about because I haven't played. I mean, I played it, but it's been ages. And it was before I ever really got into theory crafting, and I've only really ever theory crafted Wrath. But I know we have stuff for Wrath that we have yet to get to. I don't know if we want to do that now or want to save that for later on.
I mean, no, we can just transition into, I would say, this one, right? Maybe after that you can make your point.
Which one is okay? So the PvE restoration.
Correct. Yeah.
So if you go to the talents, you'll see like he's got 3 of 3 in sub. Why? Why wouldn't you take? You don't need that point there. That point can be put down to Tranquil Spirit right below Omen of Clarity there, and save yourself some mana. Like just dumb stuff in here. I don't understand.
This reduces threat generated by restoration.
You don't need
right.
Those points can be put into naturalist, sub. It doesn't matter. They're just throwaway. They're filler points to get down to the next tier. No mention of that. I mean, you go down to so that whole talent thing's goofy. So in major glyphs, you've got Wild Growth, Swift Mend, Nourish, Rejuve, Innervate. That's actually correct. But there should be a notation in there for Rapid Rejuve, because I think there are fights, especially in the early tiers, tier 7, tier 8, hell, even there's fights in tier 9 and in tier 10 where you're going to want to use Rapid Rejuve if you're really pushing progression and talking about min-maxing.
That's the one that makes your rejuvenation tick faster, right? And scales with haste.
Correct. It goes off your haste, and however much haste you have, the more haste you have, the faster it ticks. So it has its uses, but here we're talking about where is it? If I can find it again. Yeah. Talking about the actual, when you scroll down to the spec here, he's talking about using rejuvenation and use rejuvenation and life bloom on the tank from the start. Maintain life bloom on the tank and refresh it. This is not TBC, where life bloom is a huge thing. This is Wrath of the Lich King. Life bloom's kind of a afterthought. Yeah, you'll use it on your clear casting procs.
I was about to say that. Why isn't clear casting mentioned? That seems like to be a massive mechanic for druids, no?
It is. It's the one mechanic it's the only one mechanic we really do have. But yeah, especially in the early tiers, as you're starting to progress through ICC, not that if you're in good tier 9 gear, you're not going to be going on any fight. But I mean, there's times where you'll use life bloom, but yeah, sitting here saying that you want to keep it up all the time and let it work. No, you're not a tank healer. What is this, 10 man? Stop it. Standard AoE combo. This isn't true. You were not going to start with Wild Growth. Why would you start with Wild Growth? Your idol is not going to proc, thus you're going to have less spell power. You're going to want to start with rejuvenation. That should be a given. Any idiot would see that and be like, oh, hey, I want to get my idol proc so I got more spell power. I'm going to start with rejuvenation, which you should actually have procced beforehand. Add regrowth if some players are receiving too much damage. Use Swift Mend for instant healing. I mean, basic nonsense guides that are just... I mean, look, I know this guide is ripped off from my guide, pretty much. Tranquility is used after a massive AoE or when the raid is about to die. That's not true. Tranquility is party heals only. It's not... I don't... It's like, they need to specify this way better than what they are. You go look down and look at the BIS list for what's... the BIS list here. Wrong. Memory of Malagos can be swapped out for phased regen. Let's see what else is on here. Depending on what build you're using, Great Cloak will be you won't use Great Cloak. You'll be getting RS Cloak for that. You'll be getting the RS Bracers, and you could be swapping out Boots of Unnatural Growth at some point in time for more spell power. I mean, there's just so much wrong with these guides on here. I mean, you go to... we got the Shaman one pulled up too, I do believe.
Yeah, the Shaman is right next to it here. There we are.
And the problem with Shaman, I'll start talking about it for you. Yeah, there you go. You get that 1 point elemental weapons down the enhancement tree. Versus, I'm not even sure where he would have taken a talent point out of. Actually, let me... glance at it real quick here.
It is the curse, decurse.
Yeah, you want. Yeah, I don't know. You want cleanse spirit. I don't know why you wouldn't want to be
It's
able to
here.
have
It's
your.
it's
Yeah,
it's this, and then it's this over here. I'm sorry. I just pulled up a pen. So
you're fine. I just don't know why you would. Why would you want 15 extra spell power versus having the ability to decurse targets? I mean, the ability to decurse targets is way more important. Sure, people will say, well, you don't need to decurse every fight. Yeah, but unless you're planning on talent swapping every other fight, it's something that you do want to have. It is useful for some bosses, some mechanics. So if 15 spell power isn't going to equal anywhere near the amount the usefulness you're going to get from cleanse spirit. Let me pull up. Scroll down. He's got in the glyph section, chain heal, earth shield, healing stream totem. I mean, sure, maybe if you were doing like some, AoE healing, but even then, it's not that much. I'm still going to go with lesser healing wave here. People who he puts that under, people with low gear may consider taking glyph of lesser healing wave. Nah, lesser healing wave is really nice for working in conjunction with your tidal waves in order to proc a bigger heal on your tanks. You're not going to be casting healing wave a whole lot. Healing waves, just even with the amount of haste that shamans get, which is a lot. They really do need to get a lot of haste to definitely an end game, but it's just not worth it to cast healing wave. Lesser is going to do really good for you with that glyph on and with tidal waves up. So the best part about this guide, and I've covered it in one of my videos, is where he says the rotation. You go down to the second paragraph of the rotation. He says the fight started. Use chain heal and healing wave. No. The fight starts. You don't use chain heal and healing wave. You're gonna wait to take. Probably the tank's gonna. Let's say Marigar. The tanks are gonna get slapped back and forth. Assuming you're two tanking, you're gonna be using lesser healing wave here. Riptide, depending on what or totem, whatever your idol you're using as shaman. If you're using the Riptide one, you want Riptide up as soon as possible. You want to be able to proc your idol, get that going, get that extra spell power rolling. Just use Nature Swiftness and Tidal Force if the raid has taken a lot of damage. No. No. That's stupid. Tidal Force has its moments where you're going to use it, but I'm not specifically waiting for the raid to take damage to NS and Tidal Force. Properly place your totems if needed. I mean, that could be properly replace your totems if needed. That is something that should be talked about a lot more in depth, and where to position them, keeping an eye on them, having an accurate way to track those. That's very important. Your raid loses 5%, haste for your casters. Believe me, they're going to be up your ass. They're going to be pissed the fuck off if you lose that totem or they get out of range of it. Very important. If on low mana, then use Mana Tide, or you can ask for Hymn of Hope or Innervate. Whatever. Down here at stat priority, he's got spell power, haste, and critical strike rating. That's not true. Spell power is not over haste, and it's definitely not. I would also say it's not even as good as crit, because you need crit to proc a lot of the things that you use for Restoration Shaman. For example, having what's the talent that reduces damage taken?
Ancestral something, I think.
Yeah, it's Ancestral Healing.
As Ancestral Awakening is the heal. That's the heal, and then I think it's Ancestral Fortitude. That's the armor. Well, not armor buff, physical damage reduction buff.
Yeah, and you're gonna want that, because asking to have your priests keep it up all the time, which they can't, because the way it works in their talent trees, it's not they can't proc as much as your shaman can. Your shaman can pretty much keep it up all the time, considering his crit strike is so high, especially at endgame with the endgame gear, etc., etc. So really important for your shamans to have that up. And there should have been talk about that, about how to heal, specifically when to use Tidal Force. For example, you're going to want to save Tidal Force if your Paladin is picked up on, let's say, Heroic Lich King, for example, because now Soul Reaper damage is coming. You want to have a 100% proc chance on Ancestral Fortitude in order to get that damage reduction on your tank, that 15%. That's when you proc your Tidal Force. That's when you need the crit rating the most to proc your other talents and abilities, and to keep that tank up because your Holy Paladin's picked up. So these guides, they're either wrong, they need way more explanation, they don't go into detail, they're just like, for like we talked about the spell power part where you've got it pulled up, spell power, haste, crit. No, absolutely not. Just wow. I'm sorry, I'm ranting. I could sit here and pick apart.
No, you're not ranting at all.
Hang in here for word.
Here is something that I would like to maybe discuss is this paragraph, which says, let me just underline it really quick. This paragraph here, this sentence here rather, people with low gear may consider taking these, and it says a lesser healing wave, and if you read the tooltip, it says your lesser healing wave heals for 20% more if the target is also affected by Earth Shield. Let's say, it's your tank or whatever. Here is my question: why only people with lesser gear? Surely this has an impact on some fights where you think all of the boss fights that you could possibly imagine, right? All of the boss fights that you could possibly,
every boss fight ever.
right? Like, okay, like look at the stuff that we have. Chain heal, obviously that's more for AoE. One additional target gets smacked with a chain heal, amazing. And you have lesser healing weight, just heals for 20%. You're always gonna have the Earth Shield on the tank, right? So which fights are amazing? Like, let's talk about even General Vezax right now. Like, I did something that I did recently. Your progress is getting on hard mode. Like, you're not gonna take chain heal on General Vezax unless your ranged is failing. Sure, there's the mark, a little bit of AoE damage goes through, but it shouldn't. People should not be getting hit by Shadow Crash, which is the whole mechanic. The whole point of that fight is people just move left and right? So you shouldn't be chain healing the raid in the first place. People are failing the mechanic. You need to make sure that it don't. So why wouldn't you take the Glyph of Lesser Healing Wave on a fight where you're struggling with mana anyway? Why wouldn't you take the extra healing, especially knowing if you're doing a hard mode and you might need to use let's say 6k mana right there, you need to top them off. He's getting hit, the bad strike of RNG. Why wouldn't you have extra 20% healing there? But stuff like that is, I think, a lot of these guides make a crucial mistake, in my opinion. They mention glyphs and they're set in stone. No, you need to respec, you need to delete everything. Everything needs to be imploded for you to change glyphs. Guys, you can have glyphs in your bags. You can swap glyphs every single boss fight. Sure, you're going to pay a little bit of gold, but if you care about glyphs, then you should also care about knowing which glyph to use when. Same goes for paladins that I'm going to be mentioning a bit later, but yeah. This is also what's kind of bothering me personally, is only use this when your gear is garbage. I could not disagree more with that. It has its uses, and I'm not even a professional Resto Shaman or anything. I have basic knowledge of Resto Shamans. I can already see just by using common sense. Come on, dude. Obviously, this cannot be the case. This makes no sense whatsoever.
And we can talk about. You can even go down to the comments section and read some of the comments and some of this stuff, and they're just completely and utterly wrong. And like I told you the other day, I've posted in Warcraft Tavern back when it was gnarly guides. Yeah. And we can probably talk about that in one of these days, about the whole rebrand they did for it. But this is the comment here. This is entirely correct, except please take cleanse. It's not entirely correct. Please take cleansed spirit instead of elemental weapons. You don't you have cleansing totem? Well, yeah, cleansing totem only works on party members. It's just these guys don't think this stuff through. You try to make a comment telling them where they're wrong. You point everything out nicely and neatly to them, and they'll still remove. I've had tons of my comments removed. I must have commented probably 8, 9, 10 times on these guides, and my comments have all been removed. Spoken, DM'd the people here on Warcraft Tavern, emailed them back and forth. I have a whole email exchange about them being basically butthurt because they don't like their guides being wrong. I mean, they know that they're wrong. They've been proven that they're wrong, yet they still post them for likes, links, views to their page to generate money. That's all this stuff is. It's
this is money making machine. This is the first thing that if you type it into Google, this is the first thing that's going to come up. Not only that, I can scroll up. By the way, I have a massive ad blocker, and even then, like they're promoting Zygor, right? There's obviously some kind of partnership with Zygor and stuff like that, and all of the ads I blocked them away and already. So
well, if you type in, hang on, I'll actually send you the name of the site real quick.
Yeah, you do that. But yeah, that's just my my problem with that is like these people are creating revenue streams by uploading garbage. Like, this is really something, to live in 2022 where you have so much information out there. Even from back in the day. And
that link I just sent you.
Yeah.
This is Lexicon Gaming. This is who owns Warcraft Tavern, mind you. And it's just amazing gaming brands, gaming news, guides, and communities. I mean, this is Warcraft Tavern they own. They own Epic, EIP Gaming. They own WoW Classic Database.
Wow, okay.
Diablo Tavern, WoW Classic BIS list. Where's the one?
Epic Minecraft server?
They also own DKP Minus, which is a private server. They've removed that since. DKP Minus is also owned by Lexicon.gg, Lexicon Gaming or whatever. And that is for a private server. That's private server stuff. They also own that as well. So these guys are all about, whoever this is just about generating money through users and traffic, website, blah 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 blah. That's all this is. They don't care about the community. They care about money. That's all this is about, is the money.
I mean, this is what it's posted, right? Monthly users, monthly page views, and monthly ad impressions.
Right.
That's all they're about.
Promoting that.
Yeah. It's all they're about. It's kind of insane, actually, now that you pointed out. Yeah. And then you get stuff like this being uploaded, which makes no sense. Yeah. They don't really care about delivering what matters. The only thing they care is, make it look nice, clip it, and ship it, so to speak, right?
It's even worse when you start getting into the fact that, you go down, to like I think they have a BIS, well, on the Restoration Druid one, they have a BIS list on it. Okay, well, you're not covering the tier 7, tier 8, tier 9, tier 10. That's because all they did was go to, like, a guide like mine, rip off
there's nothing
some
there.
Of the stuff that was said in it, post it in there. The problem is my guide has been updated since then to reflect a lot of different changes and a lot of different, a different, build for higher spell power usage. So this BIS gear list means nothing. I mean, great, that's awesome at tier 10, but they don't explain the 735 haste cap spec, which is what everyone's going to be using in the tier 7 through tier 8, probably halfway through tier 9 until people really can get, depending on A, when they release epic gems, B, what kind of gear you have. It's really, oh god, don't even look at the damn comments because they're horrible on the Restoration
I'm just going
one.
there.
Oh, they're terrible.
There's a lot of arguments. Maybe I can even showcase here a little bit. Let's go to this. Let's go to this just for a little bit. Let's dive into this. Maybe I'll take over the gavel. So
yeah.
Let's talk about Protection Paladins for a second, right? Let's talk about Protection Paladins. They possibly have the most amount of flex talents available. Possibly. I mean, all classes have some flex talents, but Pallies really can flex it like no one else. This build will be most useful at high-end content. Funky, what would you describe as high-end content? I'm not a native speaker. You are. Let's say Fark is an idiot. He's not a native English speaker. Please explain to me, like an idiot, that I potentially in this discussion am, what is high-end content?
When I read high-end content coming from them, if I was just an idiot, I would say, oh, this must be for the professionals. This is what they use. Me knowing a little bit more, when I see high-end content, I think end-game content.
Thank you. So, this is specifically for raiding, and this is specifically for seriously managed raiding, right? We're not talking about LFR. We're not talking about Vault of Archivon. We are not even talking about Onyxia here. I don't know, throw me another one. What else is kind of a meme?
Oh, God. All the early tiers that you're talking.
Yeah. Let's say even, this is not even Nax 10. The only thing that comes to my mind would be really Nax, maybe, which is the weak source of the raids, right?
Right.
So they say this is for all high-end content. Use Flash. You never are going to go 2 out of 2. Even in tier 7, you're never going to go spiritual attunement. You do not need it. You do not need it. You absolutely do not need that freaking garble. You don't. If Classic Wrath comes out and someone says, oh, you know, a Divine Plea was wrong or something, guys, how you know, someone tells me an argument, Fark, you're wrong, you're a private server moron or something like that. Sure, Divine Plea works like this. Every couple of seconds you get a flat portion of your mana. And it's permanent uptime. How can private servers get that wrong? It is impossible. So I just want to dismantle that kind of discussion because I had plenty of arguments recently. Oh, you're a private server and you have no clue what you're talking about. None of you private servers have any clue. Yeah, sure. I guess all of the vanilla private servers have no idea what they're doing. Right? None of the stuff they did is correct. Yikes. I guess the TBC private community didn't do anything correct. Oh my god, I guess hunters are garbage, right? Hunters are totally not the carry class, especially now once they're gonna get tier 6 gear. Meaning not at all correct, right? Warlocks are complete garbage. Don't bring warlocks, right? They didn't do anything correct. So I'm just gonna dismantle that kind of argument, you know, oh, you're private server Andy. The only person that actually says that is a person that has either been A, dropped on their head when they were an infant, or B, have uneven amount of chromosomes. So that argument is being dismantled. I'm going back to this discussion. You don't take the talent point. Like, you don't. I've tested it myself multiple times on multiple servers throughout multiple tiers. From tier 7 to tier 10, you do not need it. Especially in tier 10. Heck, after maybe in some fucked up upside down universe you would take it in tier 7 because it's too easy, but even then, if it's too easy, you have Divine Plea, it doesn't matter because fights are too short. You're not gonna anyway. You don't take this talent point. And then they don't even mention the other talent points. They don't even have Pursuit of Justice, which is 15% movement speed. Like, what are we talking about here? One of the biggest issues with most of the tanks is that they're stuck in the mud, right? Conor McGregor, they're stuck in the mud division. They can't move for the love of their life. They don't even take Pursuit of Justice here. They take stupid crit for some reason. Like, yeah, sure, crit is nice, but it's not end all be all. Like, where is the discussion where you should be taking Improved Might? And when you should be taking Vindication? Vindication is a demo shout. Like, let me guess, before I get a genius telling me, oh no, a warrior is gonna demo shot. Yeah, you will. You know what you're gonna demo shot? You're gonna demo shot my dick. None of you warriors want a demo shot. Oh, but it has bad uptime. Guess what? Bad uptime on Vindication is better than non-existent demo shout from warrior that can be asked to demo shout in the first place, which is 90% of the community out there. Sure, if we're talking about progress, right? The guys who are gonna get most of World First, they are getting World First. The warrior, if he doesn't demo shout, he's gonna get shot in real life. In your average Andy guild, you tell your warrior to demo shout, there's a 50-50 chance that he's not even gonna fucking register it. He's gonna be thinking, oh yeah, screw this guy, I'm gonna, yeah, fucking... I'm smacking, bro. Heroic strikes, cleaves, whirlwinds. Let's go. Fuck your demo shot tank. Fuck you, bro. Get, use a potion or some shit. They don't give a fuck. Community doesn't care. And that's like also understanding how it works, having experience. None of these people, I don't know who wrote this or who is behind this. Author Nevermore, more like never fucking raided in his life. This is complete and utter garbage. Like even if there was someone who raided, debated with me once again, like you need to have experience with people as well. Like sure, it's amazing if you have a feral druid and you have demo roar. Spec away, you don't need it. But then again, if you're progressing Thorim on hard mode and the ads are clapping you and you're a pleb with 4k gear score going into a tunnel and you're chain pulling, why wouldn't you take Vindication? And this is not even being discussed. And this is just one talent point that I'm already ranting for 5 minutes. For 5 minutes I'm ranting about this. Sure, they mentioned Seal of Command and Hammer of the Righteousness, which is beautiful, but mention Reckoning then, you fucking pleb. Why don't you mention Reckoning and the way it works with Seal of Command? How it's amazing if you have 4 or 5 targets on you, it procs all of the time. It gives you even more multiplication on the value of the said talent, etc., etc. Not stupid crit. How it matters as well that when you're in an axe and there's a sword that has 2.5 speed and has diminishing return. I know you hate that, but it has lower amount of value compared to like something that has less than 2.0 speed because you're not going to consume all of the 4 stacks. You're going to consume only 3. None of this is being discussed in the slightest. This talent here is also very useful. Reduces attack speed. This is basically Thunderclap, but what it also does, it reduces your stun. Very useful for heroic Lich King fight, or Lich King fight in general for Valkyrs. Newsflash, guys, Valkyrs are gonna be the bane of your existence. Like, trust. Like, I don't know if you want to pitch in on that one, but Valkyrs are very cancerous creatures.
Yeah, it's
Funky, how many people did you lose to Valkyrs?
If you're good, nobody.
No, I mean throughout the years, what you would say the death toll to Valkyrs is?
Oh, throughout the years, well, I mean,
body count.
Oh, you know how many raids I've done?
I'm just asking you, how many people throughout the years have died to Valkyrs? Just help me drive this point home.
I mean, I've been in guilds that are progressing, and I'll include those in here too. I've helped guilds out throughout the years. So I mean, yeah, I've seen, I don't know, hundreds of them die here and there, probably.
Yeah, hundreds of them. I've seen more. I've seen more, especially in prog. I've seen countless of deaths, countless, and there's stuff like that. As I said, it's not being discussed in the slightest. And these are just talent builds, guys. I'm just getting started. There's some mention. One of the major defensive cooldowns is DSEC. It will transfer the damage. No, it has 2 parts. Same as Tricks of Trade. Tricks of Trade has 2 parts of the spell, of the buff. Same as DSEC. One of them is when it's improved. Okay. It A, reduces the damage everyone is taking within 30 yards, and B, transfers the 30% of the damage. So it's a 2-parter, which they also have gotten wrong. They can't even read the tooltip for the love of their life. They can't even read the tooltip. And then there's also the second parter, where they start talking about, what is this garble? Oh yeah, you should be using Judgment of Wisdom. You should be always using Judgment of Wisdom. And the only time you're going to use Light is when there's no one else to do it instead of you. How does that work? No, that's... No, what? What? No. No, it all depends. Where do I start? What encounter? Which paladins? How do you have holy paladin? How many holies do you have? How many retries do you have? Is it 10 men? Is it 25 men? What boss? You can't make a generalization like that. Sure, I can make a generalization, guys. Avoidance cap is 102.4 against a target 3 levels higher than you. That is That is a fact. That is a static value that doesn't change. You can't have these generalizations. You don't approach a section, you don't approach a paragraph in your guide and say, yo, this is generalization. You only use wisdom, and if there's no one else, you gotta use light. Yeah, I made a guide. No, it's not how it works. Block value doesn't be mentioned as well. They're talking about Shield of Righteousness. They have no even clue how it works. The more block value you have, the more threat you get. There's even soft cap and hard cap when it comes to block value scaling with Shield of Righteousness as well. It's all over the place. It's complete garbage. The best part is when I saw this, I was convinced that these people have no clue what they're doing. Okay? Let me just bear with me here. All right. Okay, I'm gonna read it very slowly. One defensive cooldown that is mostly overlooked or forgotten is DP. Now I don't know who is this person. Now I'm debating. I don't know who is the bigger piece of garbage here. Is it the Ascalon from WoW head guides? Talking about TBC prot paladins, or is this guy talking about Wrath of the Lich King protection paladins? At some point, I think two of them are related, and their parents are also related. Okay, like what in the frick are you talking about? Forgotten? Who forgets about it? Like that's like saying, oh yeah, guys, survival instincts is like that's a really forgotten cooldown. Hey yo, shield wall, that's a forgotten cooldown, guys. You know, people forget about shield wall all the time. They used to think it's 30 minutes, but hey, it got changed, so people forget to press it. Who forgets to press what? Who forgets it? Which kind of pleb? Like, are you stuck in RFC? Are you doing dead mines? Who is writing these guides? Who forgets this? Some pleb that did one dungeon finder writes this garbage, posts it online, pays Google AdSense, and is fucking getting money for this garbage. No. The thing that is actually forgotten, newsflash, the thing that is actually forgotten is Glyph of Salvation. Right? Let me pull that out real quick. Let me show you what I mean. It's actually Glyph of Salvation, which reduces damage, but it costs you your threat. This is what is forgotten, that what people actually don't really like. Let me pull it out on the screen and clear this. Boom. This is what is actually forgotten. Zoom in. When you use Candle Salvation on yourself, it also reduces damage taken by 20%. That's what people don't like to use and forget. Because you lose threat. You lose percentage of your threat. In total, right? For the duration of the salvation. This is also really good PvP glyph in certain cases as well, right? This is what's forgotten, not DP. DP is very much used. And this is like what really russes my Jimmy is who in the frick is uploading this garble? Who is uploading this garble? Someone says about the pull, you pop wings from Avengers at max range because travel time, and then you can taunt, you never taunt when, like, this is correct. Like, pre-taunting is not so blah blah blah. Like, there's even like random people chipping in that have more knowledge. Like, this is complete garbage. So that's kind of, I'm a little bit more enthusiastic and on fire on this episode. So, you know, bear with me, audience, but this is calling it crap is a compliment, because at least you get to use it for manure. Right? Imagine you're a country boy. At least you can use the crap for manure and use it for something later on your farm. This is below crap. Okay? This is two-faced, lying, factually incorrect, making money based on complete and utter trash. Right? Once again, calling it trash is a compliment, because it can be recycled. This cannot be recycled. This cannot be recycled. There is nothing here that has a redeemable point. Use consecration. Guys, log into the game. That's like telling to a protection paladin to use consecration is like me telling you log in into the game. If you want to raid, you should be logged into the game. Hey, if you want to AoE tank, you should use consecration. Hey, if it's gonna rain, it's gonna be wet. Once again, sorry for the massive red funky.
No, you're good.
I apologize, but I really have to drive this point home, guys. These people have no clue what they're talking about. There's so many of them. There's so many of them lined up and coming. And there's so... It's not on me to correct these people. They should have some professional integrity. They should have some integrity as a human being in the first place. You know, oh, Fark, you're toxic. Hey, at least I'm not farming freaking money based on scroob noobs that don't even know how to spec properly in a 15-year-old game because they don't know what are elitist jerks from 2008. It's like, oh god, just...
Even the elitist jerk stuff, as we're finding out now, is... I mean, it's highly more accurate than these guides out here, but...
Yeah, that was my point, sorry.
Some of the elitist jerk stuff is even wrong. You know, you go back and look, for example, there was a debate in the Restoration Druid one that went on for damn near, like, I don't know, 6 months in Wrath, where they were really considering using Glyph of Healing Touch as something that would be viable. You know, and then I know we got it marked down here. You got people out here like Avi making these guides. That Feral Druid guide where he's opening, if I remember correctly, where he's opening with a 4 or 5 combo point Savage Roar to start, which is not the case. You don't do that at all before you go into Berserk. That's not true. Like, there's so many guides out there that are just hot garbage, or things that people just leave out of their guides entirely. I think in his Boomkin guide, he leaves out what you want to be doing on the move, or why you would cast Mark of the Wild while on the move as a Boomkin, and et cetera, et cetera. Like, some of these guides that are even right, you go to Gnev's Mage Guide, and where he doesn't go in depth on anything, he doesn't explain anything. It's basically like just giving somebody, hey, here's my armory, go look up my glyphs and my gear, and here's some spells you should be casting. I mean, that's not a guide. That's just, I mean, that's gnarly guides. I mean, there's no in-depth detail breakdown analysis of what you should be doing given a certain situation or given a certain boss, etc., etc. These videos, and I never understand it. I never will understand it. They maybe get 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60,000, 100,000 views and stuff. And it's like, really? You guys are just that desperate for garbage content? I mean, anyone with half a brain cell can look at that and just be like, okay, this is a nice starter guide, but it's not going to get me where I want to be. And this guy's probably average at best. I mean, anybody should be able to see that and realize that, even if you're not coming from a background of having played private servers or any theory crafting or anything like that. If you're new to the classic scene or just the WoW scene in general, you look up some of these guides and you're like, okay, this is definitely, if you've done any kind of gaming, you know there's games out there where people make guides about stuff, and it's, yeah, they'll give their opinion on it and go over it, and then you're like, okay, let me go find the actual guy who's out here talking about this, can break it down, show me the reasons, maybe show me the math, maybe this has higher DPS than this, I want to know. And that guy and the last guy didn't cover it at all because he doesn't know what he's talking about and can't explain it. And those guides, though, those mediocre shit guides blow up, and it blows my mind. Are people just that desperate for just shit content and being spoon-fed shit? And then you get,
I think it has to do with two things here. First of all is misuse of a pre-established platform like WoW had. Like, WoW had a decent track record, especially when the game was much more popular than it is now. They had a better track record than they have now, where the game is half dead. TBC is a husk of its former self. There's barely anyone even competent playing the game, for love of the god. You have like, you have maybe over a dozen of guilds that are like really competent, and everyone else is kind of like just getting by, hitting bosses like they're a target dummy. You just look at the tier 6 clearing rates and stuff like that. It's not really optimistic if you look at that. Just simply the amount of people playing left. It's nothing. It's like, who is raiding even now? Like, what?
Right. I'm hoping that kind of cures itself by the time ICC comes out. I mean, Udlar is going to be a brain check.
Uldor is going to make people quit.
Yeah, which is good.
Uldor is going to make people quit. People are going to disband. something that I went through myself for a period of time was, oh, let's just do 10 mans. Let's just do 10 mans, right? My way to finish my point is, as I said, first one was a misuse of a well-established platform. Second one is when content creators who get views based on their personality become delusional by their own persona and think they're shit worth in terms of execution. So all of a sudden you have these jokers and clowns who are entertaining you on stream start talking about how you should be speccing or what rotation you should use. It kind of has to do with that, don't buy into your own crap that you've been selling to people on Twitch. Just because I don't know, shave your head doesn't mean you know how to play fucking Protection Paladin, okay? Let's keep those two things separate. Some donkey, that's, I don't know, eating fish fillet that he put sugar on, all of a sudden wants to become content creator. Oh, look at me, I am a serious main tank now. No, you're still a clown, buddy, yeah? Just because you put the lipstick on a pig, it doesn't make it the princess. Something that I said yesterday in a raid as well. Just
it's 100% true what you're saying. Yeah, you can dress it up any way you want it. You're still shit. You can't put a dress on a piece of shit and take it to the prom. It's still going to be a piece of shit.
Exactly, 100%. And when it comes to like Old War, what I was saying is, it's kind of what we're struggling with right now. There's a lot of things that's wrong with my synergy guild right now, but one of the things that bothers me as well is, Fark, let's just do 10 mans. We have so many keepers on a hard mode on farm, and we can get to Algalon on 10 man. I'm like, guys, I don't care about 10 man. Like, why is our 25 man garbo? This needs to be improved. Like, individual responsibility of every raider and every officer participating needs to be there. We can't have a clown fiesta, like, we can't have that every single raid in the 25 man. That's fine, just get some gear, get some conquest, it's fine. We'll get by in Old War, we'll just do 10 mans. I think that's the same mentality, that same thing is going to happen in Classic Wrath as well. I've seen several guilds say the same thing. Screw it, we're gonna do 10 men. So many guilds have said that. Because it's hard to manage a roster of 25 people. Heck, it's not even 25 people that you need to manage. First of all, you need a backup main tank, you need a backup off tank, you need a backup tank healer, you need a backup raid healer. Then for at least you need, 2 backup range DPS and 2 backup melee DPS. And somehow all of that needs to be rotated and all of these people need to be made happy, right? I'm not saying you don't need that in TBC, God forbid, but like, if you're coming from the 25-man TBC point of view, you kind of understand what you need. Like, you need these things. Like, you need some kind of backup. Like, if your tank doesn't show up, you're screwed. Like, what are you gonna do? Well, I guess, we're gonna plug a tank that, doesn't even know how to talk. Like, no, really, like, that needs to be already predetermined. What are we doing here? What are we doing with our roster? How are we handling it? And it takes a lot of management. Because you need, 30 people? More or less. Some want to be on bench, some have 50% attendance and you can use them. Let's say you have a member maybe instead of a raider that you can kind of fill in sometimes, and here's more than happy because let's say, for example, someone like you who has crazy schedule, you're more than happy just to be a filler, right? Whenever you got a slot, just put me in, right? There's plenty of people like that, and that needs to be managed, which also leads to attrition because people get tired, they don't want to manage it anymore, and they just say, screw it, we're gonna do 10 man. Okay.
And I'm hoping that, well, with at least with Udlar, I guess the exception of the rule of doing 10 man there is everyone's going to be wanting the mace, so everyone's going to be wanting to do 25 man. And the good thing about Udlar is that Zero Light, firefighter to a lesser extent, obviously, but Zero Light's Algalon is definitely going to be way harder than anything that you're going to see in Nax. So yeah, I totally agree. Tons of idiots will get through Nax, no problem. And then when Udlar hits, I'm hoping that the stupid guilds, the idiots, just get weeded out. I really think that's going to be a great gear check / brain check. Really, honestly, more brain check than gear for players. I mean, yeah, Tox easy, Nax is easy. We get all that, but Udlar, ICC, Halion, really ICC, Lich King, Halion, are going to be the only two fights where you're really going to struggle at. But I hope that the brain check really helps dumb down some of the stupid shit we see, with a lot of these guilds and a lot of these players out there.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a blast. Just like some basic mechanics that people are gonna have to respect massively. There's gonna be like, think about it. Maybe, heck, I'll just pull it. I'll just pull it for a second. We can discuss it as well. Like, we can discuss it for a second. Like, if we just check Hodir, like, which is one of the easiest hard modes out there. Let me just flip the screen for a second. There you go. Let's go full screen. Like, just check Hodir. Like, this is one of the easiest things ever. Which also, by the way, is scripted like pure garbage or synergy. Whether you like Jimmy or not, he did script utter garbage on Hodir. And some of other fights as well. Maybe we can get into that as well. For example, fires on synergy, they don't spawn for crap and then despawn instantly. I tested it on a legacy raid as well. Yesterday I tested a couple of stuff simply to compare it to synergy. None of it works as it should. You have frame of reference, but like it doesn't work properly. But yeah, just look at this fight. Like, how many people do you think are going to get frozen? Let me rewind a little bit. How many people do you think you need to, first of all, like this? Here's the thing. There's going to be a big blue pond. Not pond. You need to move out of it. The big one. Now, ice drops, and now you need to move in. And if you don't move in, you're going to get frozen. How many people do you think are going to get frozen here? This is going to be a clown fiesta. Just this boss is going to be a clown fiesta. How many people are going to burn the fires? Oh, sorry, burn the fires, destroy the fires in this boss fight. It's going to be a massive amount. Like, the Mimiron has tons of mechanics. Heck, just watch the VOD from yesterday on Maya. If you really want to hear some profanity like never before, just go to Mimiron on my VOD from yesterday's raid. You're going to hear profanity like never before. Like, if that's the thing that you like. Like, people die to mechanics all the time. Landmines, rockets. You see a massive red laser coming down from the sky and the rogue is just sitting there. Nope, I see nothing wrong with that. I see it, it's red, and I want to stand in it, and ding, dead. It's as simple as that. And we're talking about people who have been, raiding for quite a bit now on private servers, or have been raiding like, on a decent level and then an axe maybe, and would join a guild and want to have hard mode progression, and they're dying to basic mechanics, right? They're embarrassing themselves. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens is when a lot of people who think they're actually good at the game, who are also might be deluded, because once again, the current community is a husk, a shadow of its former self, right? Like, this is probably one of my biggest weak points. I still think like we're back in Kada, or peak Wrath, or peak Kada, when the game had 10 million subscribers or something insane. Nah, guys, we got like what, 250,000, 300,000 raiders in the West, split between EU and NA and Australia and New Zealand, right? Those guys too. There's not a lot of people playing the game, guys. Yeah, I'll pass the torch to you, Funk.
No, I was just agreeing with you on that one. That's where I was headed with that, but yeah, it's not many.
It really is not. It's not, and it's kind of sad that we had glory days where it was like really amazing, and you get to relive it. Or heck, you get to experience it for the first time if you're new and just enjoy World of Warcraft, and then somehow we're in a worse position than we were 15 years ago or 13 years ago.
Yeah, and I'm fine with people enjoying the game and playing it, and they don't, if you're just the average person, I just want to go through, I didn't get to play it, the first time around, or maybe they joined halfway through Wrath and they didn't get a chance to go back and play it, and they never went to private servers. I'm all for that. Just having a good time. You don't have to watch the BIS list and all that stuff and yada, yada, yada. But if you want to do actual rating, or if you want to be competent and not just go through the motions, then we got to do better as a community, because this stuff should be called out. We've talked about it in previous episodes where this stuff in retail, you can't call anybody out now, because you call anybody out, they call you a racist. They say that I've got a mental disorder and you're hurting my feeling. It's so bullshit. Instead of just shooting the dumb shit down right off the bat, we let it just grow, because that's how.
Yeah, I'm also allergic. Sorry for interruption. I'm also really allergic to trash content, so all of this is triggering my allergies.
No, I know what you mean. It sets me off when I sit there, and you can ask my wife when I see something that I shake my head and I'm looking at it like, no, and then she knows when I'm busy typing on my typing like mad crazy on my keyboard. She's like, oh, who did what now? It's like, because this stuff just it does. I hate to say it, but when I hear this dumb shit coming out of people's mouths, it does trigger me, because it's like, no, like how do you get to this point? What are you talking about? Who told you this? There's so much that I have questions about. Just put me in your brain for a minute. Let me understand your process of thinking here, because I can't fathom how you got to that point.
Yeah, the same thing I could say about Bisslist once again. A Bisslist by Anfall was shared with me today. Someone on the previous podcast said, oh, Funky hates Anfall. Well, I'm gonna join in. The guy has no fucking clue what he's talking about. There was a person who said, oh, he's good at playing. Yeah, sure, he can play an Enhancement Shaman. Good, he's a raider. I saw Bisslist from him. Never shared to me before. He made a Bisslist for tier 7 and tier 8. And this guild based their loot council priority based on the garbage he uploaded. So, like, I have to, kind of say is, first of all, who the fuck is Anfall to even know remotely anything about tanks, right? He's a fucking nobody. I don't talk about the rest of shamans besides, maybe I look at the glyph, okay, this kind of makes sense from a raid leader point of view. Hey, maybe, hey, there's some single target healing going on here. Maybe you want to focus on that. Wink, wink. Something super, super surface like that. Which at least I consider that to be surface level. I don't really go, hey, you should use that item. Actually, I do. When a good item drops and I see, like, it's haste crit, but it's not my bis. I'm like, FML, bro. It's like fresh item drops, item level 2 to 6. First time we kill XT hard mode. It has 2 sockets. It has haste and crit plus spell power. And then I hear it's not my bis because Anfall didn't put it on the bis list. Like, the amount of brain cells I lost is unimaginable at that point. Really. So whoever, like, I hope the person who is watching who watched the previous podcast and is gonna watch this one, the comment you said about Funky hating Anfall, I hate him even more right now because he has no fucking clue what he's talking about. Sure, he can play Enhancement Shaman. Maybe his opinion should matter, but the moment you start uploading factual garbage and you think you're shit worth to make bis list for every single spec in the game, that's the point where I go out and kind of have to say, yo, I think you forgot to take your medicine, and if you haven't, you might have to get a checkup with your, doctor at the nearest possible, soonest possible time frame.
Yeah, it's not even that I hate the guy. I wish him nothing but the best. The problem is when you try to, he's been in the priest and paladin Discord, IQE's Discord, right, having these discussions, and to win his argument, he claims, well, I've done 2 realm first. I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, if that's the case, then everyone should listen to me because I have a realm first on a private server. It doesn't matter. Everyone should listen to Avi because he's got a realm first and he's on private. Everyone should listen to Raya Fury because he's got a realm first. I mean, getting a realm first doesn't mean you know anything. And the fact that you're ignorant and you don't want to take the time to learn anything, and you think that certain things work on a certain realm and that applies to every realm out there. Great example, when you're talking about Anfall, he talks about double disc, using it on Lich King. That's not in any way remotely optimal to use 2 disc priests. You break it down for him, you explain it to him, you explain why him talking about inspiration and he has to keep it up because his shamans are idiots, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And you explain this to him, you explain that haste does not have diminishing returns, which is why I did the video debunking haste having diminishing returns, because it's for him to sit there and go around spreading more lies when clearly the guy knows nothing about what, I should say nothing. I'm sure he knows some stuff of what he's talking about, but he doesn't understand anything when it comes to the math side of things. And he just goes out here and starts talking about, haste. And mind you, it's not the first time he said something about this. He's repeated this statement repeatedly across other discords that haste has diminishing returns. He doesn't understand value in haste and how they're 2 different things entirely. And when you've got players out there like that, like an Obby, like a Gnev, like a Anfall, like a Rugs, and they're just out here, how is that helpful for the community whatsoever? How does that help anyone but them? And you'll notice every single one of these guys tries to use their fame for them, or they use their fame to make a point. Case in point, Obby and me ended up having a little discussion on YouTube through comments last week. He's talking about his sub count. Why does your sub count matter?
Doesn't matter in the slightest. Doesn't matter in the slightest.
Your sub count has 0 meaning when we're talking about how to do math, how to theory craft properly. If you're out here and you have 50,000 subs, because you're just talking out your ass, there's plenty of people who will listen to you. But if you get fact checked or somebody says something about it, and the great thing about YouTube, and again, this is the world we live in now.
Yeah.
You can delete comments. They've removed the dislikes. You can't see those anymore. It's making it more and more easy for people to get away with just making BS content and nobody being able to call them out or point out where they're wrong. Or if they do point out where they're wrong, those videos don't get anywhere near the views most of the time.
Yeah. Can I just interject? Toy House has 16k subscribers, and the stuff he uploads, once again, calling it garbage is a compliment beyond belief, right? So what does it mean? He has 16k subscribers because he has clickbait? Because you won't believe this specialization coming in Wrath of the Lich King on Monday Night Raw. Tune in now to see how DKs are OP with Shadowmourne. Get the fuck out of here, dude. These nobodies, keyboard turning, backpedaling, garbage content creators that somehow have video editing programs that have crawled up their ranks on YouTube, upload this garbage. Oh, but I did this and I'm gonna network with everyone else on Twitch and YouTube because networking is the meta and we're all happy-go-lucky together content creators. Get the frick out of here, dude. Get the frick out of here. This is the new meta. This is the new meta where everyone is licking everyone's behind and everyone needs to network with everyone and no one says how it is because if you're the negative guy of the community, screw that. Like, screw that.
Yeah, you get called out for pointing out other people's BS. I just sent you a screenshot. In this screenshot, another idiot, Fish Bro, who's just returned to Warmane, by the way, which, my God, if you haven't watched that.
Oh, yeah, Fish Bro is a special
okay,
individual.
Well, you got to watch his new video because he's got a cam up. And let me tell you what, this guy looks... And I know.
I personally don't like to go after looks. This is just me personally. I couldn't care if someone looks like a troll. This is kind of where I draw the point. I really don't care. I like if 10 semi trucks fully loaded that were ready to go to Alaska ran over you on the highway and you look like a disformed pancake. I would still respect you more if you at least uploaded stuff on YouTube that's not complete garbage.
I 100% agree, but nonetheless, still funny. But point in case, the what I just sent you talking about Fluffy.
What are we looking at that? Yeah, Fluff is from EJ.
Yeah, he goes, Fish Pro, this is 7 months ago. Could you make a report regarding Crusader Strike not resetting Divine Storm? It should count as a melee attack and therefore should be able to reset Divine Storm. Fluffy's trolling, okay, here. And this was never a thing where it was broke, because it never worked like that at all. And you look at his response. I think they fixed it already, no? Come on, dude. Are you... It was never broke to begin with because it never worked that way to begin with. This guy's out here, thousands of views, people loving his shit. And it's like, really? You're gonna... Oh my god!
I can't believe this is coming back because of trolling. People are discussing that Crusader Strike resets DS again. I wonder how many. I wonder, like, this is dangerous because I'm laughing my ass off, but this is dangerous because it's gonna potentially spiral off a different conversation when people are actually gonna believe that it worked at some point, and people are gonna believe that even potentially it's intended.
Oh, I agree, but that's the funny part. We sit here and discuss it in the Discord, or well, we have, in the past, and it's like, why wouldn't we just let, there's a part of us that a few of us have mentioned it where we're like, just let the world burn, like, just tell these idiots and mess them up so bad that these guys are going to be so clueless on what's going on. Like, we're at that point where we just like, sometimes we just screw with people because it's like, obviously showing them the right way, the proper math, telling them they're wrong and explaining why isn't working. So let's just put out false information and let them run with it.
I mean, yeah, that's a possibility for sure. You could be doing that, but then again, like as I said, I have a little bit chip on the shoulder. I have my personal vendetta when it comes to content creators who are full of garbage. I really do have a chip on my shoulder because there's so much incompetence, and it gets to their head. They think they're rock stars. They think they're something, dude. And it really is not like that. Once again, unless you have clean display of piloting, this is where I would like start. Like you have, like people are gonna defend these people. Let me tell you this. What if let me present. What if you were a GM of a guild that wants to contend for world first, and you're main tanking a boss, and you're not even tracking your abilities. You're mismanaging your abilities. Your rotation is complete garbage, right? And you're a tank on the boss, and you look at that WOD, and I show you. Maybe I will for another episode. I will display that. And I show you, hey, this person is like big streamer, big GM of a guild. He can't even main tank for shit, right? Like complete garbage. Like garbage. Actually garbage. And then, hey, look at this. Oh, well, this, and this excuse. Well, what excuse are you gonna make? It's world first race. The guy can play tank for shit. He has no clue what he's doing. He's playing in a class that has 4 buttons, right? And he can't even press the 4 buttons properly. And this is a person whose opinion is valid? It's someone who can't even tank a boss? Is participating in the world first race? What? Like, who is distributing all of these drugs to all of these people? And how can I get in on the scheme? Please. Well, I don't know. I don't know if, like, what's the proper reaction, to cry or to laugh, because at this point it's both. It's a Greek tragicomedy. It's literally it's both, and it could not be worse. For people coming like Nev, who's not, he is below average raider with like most mediocre level of knowledge when it comes to anything really. If people like to insult people from Icecrown Warmane a lot, and he's probably on that level of, hey, I'm just dude that's raiding and talking smack on Discord twice a week. Oh, and coming back to Antfall, all of the server firsts he has gotten are shit worth because none of them were on Warmane Frostmourne.
Not only that, but they were against zero competition on servers where scripting is either horribly bad, as we've pointed out before. I can't remember which one I think it was the first one.
They come from Sunwell. I think there's this crap from Sunwell.
Yes, one of them's from Sunwell,
and then one of them is from Whitemane. I think. I'm not sure. I want to
say the one from Sunwell was goofy as all get out. There was zero competition, from what I understand.
Yeah, no, that server's dead.
Yeah,
That thing's
0.
dead more than a deer that you shot with a shotgun face point value with incendiary rounds.
I think they did it on the newer realm, not the old realm of Sunwell. The old realm was actually tougher, from what I understand, from what I've been told. People who have played there that are, that I've raided with, and it's the second one that it was just a complete joke, and that's the one he got realm first on. Plus, in the video, I think if you go and watch the video of it, there's just a lot of stuff you could clearly see just isn't working right. So of course, when you have stuff like that, let's try double disc, that'll work better. And it worked with double disc. No, it just worked because it doesn't mean it's better. You're not. How can you compare it being better versus using it versus not using it? I don't know. That's stuff.
Did you also say there's something like we need to proc inspiration because something my shaman?
He was saying that, I have the screenshot of it somewhere, but he's saying that he has to keep inspiration up when his discs and his shamans are being apes and can't keep up inspiration.
You don't make your composition around player skill. You make composition around what makes sense. This is a role-playing game that works on fundamentally mathematically based systems. Just because you have an ape, you don't bring the ape to server first race. Almost said server first race. Okay, at that point, this comment in itself can be dismantled in so many ways. First of all, in which universe do you get to make an excuse? My shaman is a garbage player, so I will use a suboptimal raid composition in a server first race. Hello? Has common sense exited the chat permanently? What are we talking about here? There is zero whatsoever intelligence. This is below room temperature IQ. Just to write those words, you should be expelled from the community permanently, and all of your opinions should be swept under a rug forever. How is this excusable? You don't get to make a sentence, you don't get to make a statement like that and walk away. What is wrong with the community nowadays? I'm gonna play double disc because my Resto Shaman is crap on Heroic Lich King 0 buff progression. Buddy, uninstall the game and never come back, because that statement was beyond stupid. There is no measurement. Medically speaking, the measurement doesn't go as low as stupid that statement was. And it boggles my mind. It explodes my mind in awe and pure shock. Hey, I am a server first. My opinion matters. At the same time, my raiders are garbage. Well, you just pointed it out. Your server first doesn't matter for shit. It's worth less than a used toilet paper, right? That's all there is to it.
Yeah. But
I don't know. Do you want to add anything to that story? I'm really driving it. I'm really driving it home today.
Discuss it for days.
I'm really driving it home today, Funky. Guys in the podcast. Sorry, but today I'm driving it. As I said, someone said, "Oh, his points are valid, bro." No, Handful is garbage. He can play Shaman well. Besides that, he's trash. He has no clue about the game. He's a view-botting fucking nobody. That's what he is. Say it how it is. Right? Let's stop putting lipsticks on all of these swine and pigs. We're not on a pig farm. We're playing the game.
Is he better than 90% of players? Probably. I'll give him credit on that. Is he better than 95% of the Wrath players I've seen? 95%? Sure. I'll give him that. Does he understand theory crafting? Does he really know what to do, when to do it, how to do it? No. He doesn't understand why you should use this, why this is better, why that is stupid to use 2 discs. It's the theory crafting that he's lacking. I'm not saying he's lacking raid positioning or playing his class to possibly max potential, but when you're opening your mouth, talking about other classes and things that you don't have a clue about, you shouldn't be doing that, because clearly somebody in that position who knows way more about the class than you do, and believe me, there's always somebody out there who knows way more than you do about the class. You're going to get schooled,
Funky,
he got schooled on it.
You're nobody. He's in progress right now.
Yeah, well...
But he's in the best guild in the world, and you're not even in the guild, Funky. He obviously is a million times better than you.
Yeah, because somebody has a life outside of this game. I've been playing it for 20 fucking years. I'm tired of being in a top guild. I just want to log in, get my gear, go.
Okay,
Log off. I don't need that
let
shit.
let me play devil's advocate and your advocate at the same. The reason being is you don't miraculously have 400 viewers during prog, and somehow you have less people in chat than we have right now. That's also really interesting approach. I don't know. Maybe Timmy is a theory crafter. Maybe Timmy can also explain it. How can you have 400 people in a chat, and yet only 3 people are writing something?
No, it was even worse. I checked in on it.
That's
it was
so interesting.
A couple months ago. I think when he was doing he was viewing something. Maybe it was Frostmourne season 2. They were running the max or something. He was live streaming from somebody else's POV. But anyway, 1,400 viewers. I sat in the chat for maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Not a single comment. Not a single comment in there the whole entire time. I've had 400 people watching my stream on a regular day. On a regular day, back in the day when my stream was huge on Twitch, 400 people was probably around the average if I was just goofing off, logging in to do something. My chat was constantly blowing up at 400 to the point where I had to put it in slow mode. So that does beg the question, how the hell do you have almost 1,500 people watching you, and in 5 to 10 minutes, nobody said a word? That doesn't add up.
Must be that content is that really inciting, you know. The next rating tier, guys. Yo, when you're doing patchwork, bro, people just really dial in those hard strikes, man. All of the viewers are really tunnel visioning the hard strike, guys. Hey,
either you're paying for view bots, or you're really that good at putting people to sleep. I mean, that's the only 2 options you've got in that situation.
As I said, the previous podcast, I was pulling my punches quite a bit, but it is as it is. I don't think you're here to network with everybody, neither I am. As I said, I'm not gonna network with someone who I think is garbage in every way, shape, or form, in terms of the game at least. And that's one of those points where it needs to be said. The truth needs to be said. Okay? Let's dispel the delusions. Not that the shamans can, because they don't take the decursing anyway. They can't dispel shit, can they? Because they're specced in the wrong way anyway. But it's time to dispel the delusions a little bit and say how it is, guys. There's so much garbage happening in the community, you don't know where to even start. Lying, facetious behavior, two-faced, content creators. Oh my god, nostalgia! The music! Oh no, the guides that I'm selling to these people that I have stolen from other people, which I'm never going to credit or fucking, actually fess up to it. Oh no, but the music in the zone is so, oh no.
No, and it's like Teamy's, I just seen Teamy's comment. I was tabbed into another tab, but yeah, it's like Teamy was saying, and I think we've talked about it too in the Discord, where he dies to the most dumbest shit at some points in time as well. He has. I totally forgot about that. He's died to some really stupid mechanics. I believe people have clipped it too, where he's done it. And look, as far as giving credit too, look, Teamy's doing a lot of the legwork when it comes to this Restoration Druid Calculator stuff. The haste video that he worked on, a lot of that came from him. I finished up the end of it. He did the beginning of it. I know more about actually playing the class. I know what I need to know about playing the class. I know some stuff about breaking down the numbers. As far as my ability to build a calculator and to do haste values I can do haste values, but my ability to do, I want to say math because it's not true. I do have the ability to do math, but the ability to break all that stuff down, you're talking input lag from server lag, all that stuff. That stuff I never got into really. That's more, and I'll give Teamy all the credit in the world, and he'll be the first person I mention in any video when he's done most of the video, or at least done half the work. Of course I'm going to mention him. I hate when people get these ideas, and Anfall gets these ideas. I know he does. He gets them from other players, just like Obby gets them from other players. We've seen it with Obby many, many times where so-and-so said this should work like this, and they gave me a whole bunch of numbers, and it's not even true. Stop believing these other people who are clearly misleading you, because now you're going to mislead this person, an Obby, or whoever, and now they're going to believe this, and now they're going to spread it, and now because they have a platform, guess what you've just done? You just spread that to 10, 20, 30,000, 40, whatever people, and it's just dumb. Stop doing that and start giving credit where it's due. If you hear something from somebody, or if you take something from somebody, give them credit for it. I don't know. That whole thing pisses me off to no end too.
Yeah, that's also the issue. Like people need to promote themselves because everyone wants to make it, right? But how are you going to make it? The meta was created by, once again, a bunch of nobodies with the only intent, I want to make it. That's the only intent. I want to make it. I want to be the one. My name needs to matter. So you have a bunch of people with the same principle idea. Okay? I want to make it. I want to matter. No matter the cost, no matter how. They surround themselves with each other. They create a networking circle. They promote each other's garbage. And if you say anything bad about it, right? Oh no, you're the toxic one. You're the toxic one. No, the truth hurts, right? The truth hurts. I'm sorry, but there's no other word for garbage except trash. So pick your poison. Should I call you garbage or should I call you trash? Because calling you bad is I'm sorry, bro, but that's just like hyper compliment. So like, how are you supposed to say that? But no, you're toxic, bro. No, that's the truth, and truth hurts the most. The truth hurts the most. If you're a bad driver in real life and you suck at parking, it hurts when someone tells you, bro, you can't park for shit. It hurts. And you don't like to hear that, right? The same way is here. Nobody likes to hear the truth. Hey, you're kind of garbage at Feral, bro. Like, you can't play Feral. Like, bro, like, what are you doing, dude? Just, I don't know. For example, you start playing Feral, dude, like, you're like 15th on DPS. Bro, funky stick to rest. Or what are you doing?
Well, how are you going to get better? I mean, you got to have criticism in order to get better. What, are we not going to criticize anybody ever? That sounds like a horrible fucking idea and concept altogether. That doesn't work. Imagine it being going to a profession where lives are at stake. For example, the military, which I could talk about, or even better, a doctor. You're terrible at doing sutures. But go ahead and just I'm not going to criticize this guy or tell him he's doing it wrong. Just let him go ahead and fix this dude up and possibly kill the motherfucker. I mean, come on. It may not be life and death when it comes to WoW. Clearly, it's a game.
Well, it is life and death. No. It is life and death in game, and it's life and death of people's nerves. All right? I'm not the only one losing sanity. There's at least 5 to 6 people who lost their sanity in yesterday's raid. Huh? It's life and death of nerve cells. The nervous systems are having breakdowns when stuff like this is put into place. So technically there is some kind of life and death cycle there. But yeah, sorry, Funky, continue.
No. Yeah, I'm good.
All right, and for the last one, we're gonna go to the Q&A session. We're gonna go to the Q&A. Nice to have Team in the chat, by the way. Nice to have Team in the chat. We do have a question for the Q&A part of the podcast. Let's just jump to that. We can discuss this real quick. This is the question. It is from the Shadow Priest with a 0. Not to be confused with all of the Shadow Priests who are non-binary. They don't have the zeros. Anyway, he says, I'd be interested to know where to find the best place to join competent players for guild recruitment ahead of Classic Rats. So he wants to know about guild recruitment, how to find a guild, etc., etc. Before I go on a massive rant, I'll let you start, Funky. I feel like I've been...
No, for me, honestly, it's a little bit different for me. Even I'm struggling to find one. Honestly, it's for me. A lot of the players, Teamy's retired. He's having more fun working on theory crafting stuff. That's where his talents really lie. And a lot of the guys I know are retiring, or they're planning to either just play casually on Warmane, or so for me, trying to find people to play with, I've gone to the classic Discord servers and just kind of hung back and watched, see who knows their stuff really. And I've inquired, hey, do you need a raider for, if you guys are planning to go into Wrath, what do you need? And I can play this or I can play that or blah blah blah. That's where I've done it at. So I've talked to a few people there. That's kind of what I've done. I don't know a specific place. Maybe you can, talk about that more, where there's somewhere. You're in the TBC realm more than I am, so maybe you have more insight as to where they could go.
First and foremost, anyone who cares about playing Classic Wrath, you need to look at the current TBC servers. You need to look at population. There's no other way around it. If you're gonna be, first of all, do not, for the love of your life, do not play on a PvE server. Why? Because you cannot transfer to a PvP server, okay? You're stuck in the mud. You choose PvE server, you got a couple of dead servers, that's it. The most popular servers are PvP servers. Now you might be thinking, but why? Like, I don't care about PvP, I just want a PvE. The logic is sound, it makes sense. The thing is, the PvP tag is only for open world PvP. It really doesn't matter. Like, it really doesn't matter. You need to look at popular servers. For US, West Coast and East Coast, it would be Benediction. It would be Faralina. It would be partially Whitemane. Servers like that are huge. Focus on them. Like, go to ironforge.pro and check the population. Like, how many players are on the server. Do not be afraid of the queues. Queues do not matter. We're gonna have layering again. It really doesn't matter. And even if you need to sit in the queue for a week, hear me out. It's better to sit in the queue for a week than to raid with plebs for 2 years. Trust me, I'm speaking from experience. It is how it is. For EU, the servers would be Gehennas, and it would be Firemaw. I know there's a couple of other ones that are not bad, but those two are the biggest and the largest, right? Just make sure that you track the population of the servers. That's the first and foremost. The most important thing by far is that you're not on a dead server, and especially not on a PvE server, because that's death sentence. Like, you just killed yourself. You killed your own career before it even started, right? Second of all would be there's a bunch of discords. There's classic discords. There's guild recruitment there. And you can check it there if you want to join a guild that has been pre-established in TBC. But considering this person as, I would imagine, veteran when it comes to private servers, it's just an assumption. But I would say find a guild that's going to transition from Warmane into TBC. Well, the pre-patch of Wrath of the Lich King specifically. Because there's going to be a bunch of people playing in the pre-patch. There's going to be I don't want to call it the Shadow Zone, but let's call it the transition zone from end of TBC to start of Wrath of the Lich King. And just make sure that you're out on the lookout for the Warmane guilds, whether you hate it or like it. These guys have some experience. They know kind of the talent builds. They know kind of the stat priorities. They know tier 7 doesn't matter, guys. Even back in the day, tier 7 was cleared. They have all of this knowledge, right? Especially TOGC as well. People clear that. It's not that difficult, right? So make sure that you're in a guild that, I would say, if you play on Warmane, stick with your people. Stick with players of Warmane, whether you hate them, whether you dislike them, whether you think that they're the most awful smelling trash can ever. Trust me, you might appreciate that trash can down the line, because what's coming is God, may God have fucking mercy on all of our souls. That's the kind of word I would that's how I would say.
Yeah, I'm there with. Yeah, definitely. From what I made the mistake of playing on a PvP server or a PvE server, first when I leveled my druid. And I don't know, there's I think there's about 4,000 people playing there on peak time, which is okay. It's about Warmane-esque population. But definitely you want to go for the higher. I mean, going from that server to where I am now in Faralina, currently leveling there, it's night and day. It's just night and day between the two of them.
It's like going from the remote Alaska village to New York.
And yeah, you kind of need that in the early tiers. Now, once it reaches end game, I mean, those servers tend to die out anyways. So you're going to want to be on the bigger server, because that's where everyone that remains will go to anyways. I don't know why they just don't make a mega server, whatever. But yeah, I would definitely say PvP over PvE realms, and definitely go for the higher populated realms if you plan on doing any kind of raiding at all.
Are you looking forward to tier 7 at all?
No.
Okay. Next question. Next question.
Naxxramas is just it's so bleeding boring, dumb. I mean, I don't want to Nax and Talk. I mean, how can you have two of the greatest raids in Wrath with Wotlk and ICC, and have two of the absolute worst of all time that people have put in there? You know, like Nax Part 2, basically, and then TOC. I mean, who the hell is going to want to do TOC nonstop for 3-4 months on end? I mean, shoot me now after like
4? Oh, you think it's going to be 4? I think it's going to be 5.
Who knows? They'll probably shorten it, I would assume, just like Warmane has done with Frostmourne. You know, in the first season, they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna have to shorten this up because it's really stupid."
This is my foreshadowing. I think the first couple of weeks, first 3 weeks, are going to be a clown fiesta. I think people are going to be. Here's the deal. The tries. People are going to be tilted beyond belief. Beyond belief. People are going to be tilted. Someone's going to die. There's going to be a wipe. People are going to lose their tries. They're going to be down to 49, 48, 47. All of a sudden, bada bing, bada boom, you're at 39, and it's a yikers. And then, like, if they put it 3 months, it's too short. It simply is too short. People want to get gear. People want to gear up, and they want to be ready for ICC. And I think Blizzard will also want to have as much hype for World First ICC as possible, and I think they're going to let it run for 5 months. I think that's kind of where I'm speculating, because like 3 months, I would say 4 months is yellow, 3 months is red, and I would say 5 months is green. That's kind of how I look at it, simply from the amount of loot that you can get, right? The amount of loot that you can get for a raid. Because think about it, your World First guild might be ready, and even then, that's depending on RNG. Because they're going to be running splits, and it depends how many splits are they running, right? Right. Well, when we were talking like your middle of the pack, just, you know, a happy-go-lucky guild. They have 125-man roster, something that I would probably be doing myself, because I'm not going to be running splits. Forget that. You know, they just have 125 man. They want to gear out raiders, and then you say, "Okay, guys, 3 months of TOC," and they're like, "Hey, wait, whoa! I didn't get my weapon, yo, where's my weapon? I still have like." TOC 25 man normal. I didn't get my gun. You know, why are you releasing? Why do I need to go do ICC 25 with an item level 245 gun? That's just an example. So there's like, that's going to be most of the community, right? Most of the people, most of the raiding community is going to be there. They're more than likely they're not going to be running splits, right? Because you need to have an alt, you need to raid with an alt, and you need to do it competently as well, right? You can't just, you know, come up with like trash geared warlock with no gems and enchants where you don't care about your rotation. You're just, you're just like spamming your keyboard just for the sake of doing rotation. So it's not that easy to execute. That's what leads me to believe that we're going to have 5 months of TOC, the same way I think we're going to have 5 months of tier 4, simply because you need to level up and gear up, right? Like, if you think about it, in the first month, the guilds are kind of going to be established, and that's where raiding is going to happen. And then, like, how many more months we're going to have after that? 3, 4? Kinda. Maybe speedrunning going to be having a comeback. Maybe. We shall see. It's going to be a super easy tier. It's going to be, it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do. Maybe they will shorten tier 7, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they're going to do a staggered release, just like we had in Icecrown Citadel back in the day, where you only had, they only opened up certain wings per week. So you can only do the first 4 bosses the first week, the Plague Wing the next week, Blood Wing the week after that, Frost Wing, and then on the Lich King.
Wait. Yeah, it was like that. It was normal and heroic cadence, correct?
Yes, normal and heroic both got that. So
that I could not disagree more with that type of release. Simply because you're gonna have all of the gear that you're gonna farm, right? Think about week 1. How many splits do you think all of these sweaty guilds are gonna have, right? Just for the Saurfang loot.
I mean, Lich King's as soon as heroic Lich King is released, I mean, let's assume that they just open ICC and you have to go get the normal version first, and you can run all the way to Lich King. Lich King's going to die within the first 2 weeks. They do it that way. A staggered release would make more sense at least make it so that you open half the raid for, I don't know, 2-3 weeks, and then open the other half the raid on normal, and then do the same thing for heroic, or else it's just going to be it's literally going to last 1 week up. One reset. That's all they're going to need.
True, but that also leads to potential to more gear farming. If they do original, like you had first quarter 4 bosses normal, then you have then you had the Plague quarter, then you have the Blood quarter. So that's 3 weeks. That's 3 weeks, and I think is Valithria separate or not? I don't remember that one.
No, Valithria is with Syndragosa.
And then Lich King is separate, correct?
Yes, Lich King's separate.
Yeah, and that's the 5th one, right? So that's 5 weeks. Okay? And then on top of that, let's add another 4 weeks of heroic. Okay? We're talking about 9 weeks of farming ICC loot before you even get to see Lich King heroic. And if you're running this with 4 splits of 25 mans, you're gonna have such an inflated gear score, dude. You're gonna have massively inflated gear score. So I understand where you're coming from. I want, when you say I want the race to last longer, I understand where you're coming from. But if it lasts longer, it's gonna be meaningless simply because people are gonna be running like 6,300 gear score or something at that point, right?
Right. Yeah. I could look at it either way. I mean, either way, it's not the day Lich King gets released, he's dead. I mean, it doesn't matter if you stagger it or not. Just looking at it from my point of view, it's going to die regardless. Day 1 of its release.
No, that's without a doubt. That's without a doubt. The only thing that I'm thinking about right now is to make it more challenging. Simply to make it in a such way where you can't really, roll up with like heroic trauma or something implying that someone would not have Valonir for whatever reason. Everyone's gonna have Valonir, or I don't know, like how many heroic crypt makers can you get, or how many DVWs are you gonna get, or unidentified objects, stuff like that. Just the weapons, the tier set bonuses, and all of that stuff. Just to make it a little bit more challenging, just limit the gear score, make the people sweat a little bit more who are actually competing, and make the race harder. So, if you're either going to be watching the race live or watching the VOD, you can actually watch something that has more difficulty in that way. That's my opinion. That's where I'm coming from personally.
Right.
I don't know if you want to add. If you want to add,
no,
something.
I was about to ask you the same thing. You got anything else to add or no?
No. I'm just waiting for you to bounce.
Because we're about the 2-hour mark as it is. I see.
Yeah, we're all right. On that departing words from you, Funky.
Just on my end, I know if people are watching this, I've been super busy working. Literally working a ton of overtime, work. I've got 3 videos I'm working on. None of them are even close to being done. And then trying to also level at the same time, and just busy with my home life. So I know I've been told, what are you doing? Why are you only live streaming here and there? Why aren't you working on videos? Because it's either I stream and put some content out, or I do nothing and put no content out for another month until the video's ready. But Anyways, yeah, if anyone's out there busy wanting to play with either of us or just me specifically, I'm on Faralina, Horde side. Screw anything else. I'll be leveling there, playing there. Other than that, that's all I really got. I hope everyone enjoyed the podcast today and that, we get to hear some feedback from you guys. And really interested to see, I'd love to hear feedback from the communities that we talked about today. The people who believe in Warcraft Tavern, the people who believe in the Gnebs, the Avies, the Fish Bros, the Toy Houses, all those guys. I'd love to hear from those people and that are part of those communities. So, give us some feedback, honestly.
Yeah. The more comments, the better, to be honest. Just, having any kind of discussion. As I said, I've given it a lot of thought. When someone tells me, as I said, there was like someone who said it on the previous comment section, like funky this, funky that. It's like, yeah, funky is like endgame raider. I'm the one who approaches this. Like, if you listen to us talk, I'm the one who's like, hey, think about Uldor bosses. Funky doesn't really care about Uldor bosses. I know you like Uldor, but you don't necessarily, thinking about it. I think that's, where it makes this dynamic duo. Where I'm currently hard stuck in Uldor right now, and you have killed ICC more times than. God, I was about to make a really bad reference. Let me
No, I've killed ICC more times than I've probably blinked in my life.
Yeah. Something like that, right? So it's nice to kind of have the stand. But yeah, guys, like if you made it all the way until the end, I can't express enough gratitude for watching the video. Even if you disagree with something, it's fine to disagree. It's fine to disagree. If you disagree, say why. If you agree, say also why. This is why we have all of this discussion. Some of it is factual. Some of it is factual. Like certain talent builds are factual, but there's also different things that we might say. If you disagree with it, you can post down below, and then we can have more discussions. On that note, I'm gonna wrap up the podcast. You can find funky stuff is gonna be posted down below. Make sure to subscribe to his YouTube channel. Make sure to follow him on Twitch, even though mostly he's recently been on YouTube. Follow him. If you want to chat with him when he's live as well, be sure to give him some love, guys. Thank you all for enduring the rants, and I hope you had an amazing time. Episode 3 of the F Show, the lucky number 3. Peace, guys, and see you on the number 4.